Okay, today's video is going to be regarding some older knowledge and also why the upper echelon has been fighting over Ukraine and what's going on there. So this is the Mayan calendar here. I kind of wrote a iron cross over it so you can kind of see the significance here. In that this is the Mayan calendar, and it designates a 26,000 year cycle. It's built around a 260-day year, 20 cycles, and 13 days in each cycle per year. So that comes out to 260 days, and you can kind of see the 20 different cycles, 20-day cycles. This is the precession of the equinox. This is where the poles move back and forth from the center at 23.5 degrees. We always typically say at 23.5 degrees tilted from vertical as far as the plane that the Earth travels around the sun. And so every 26,000 years we go back and forth. Kind of wobbles, right? So in 2012 there's three massive earthquakes. It was one in Japan, 9.0, I think another 9.0 in New Zealand, and then somewhere in between along the island chains there's another large one. That happened because we went through the galactic plane, had a massive gravitational pull on the planet, stretched the tectonic plates out and caused massive release, similar to what happened this year, the 7.0 in Taiwan and the few that happened in Japan. I predicted Taiwan's 2024 earthquake one day in advance. I used an orrery online and was looking at the solar system and the way that everything was aligned. And the reason that I was able to predict this is because I had backtracked a couple years, maybe a year after 2012. Our solar system's alignments and the way some of the larger planets had come around and caused what you would call a massive gravitational pull on Earth. Very, very rare alignments. So what was happening is that somewhere between 6 to all 9 planets were on one side of the sun, and then Earth was on the opposite side at that exact time. So you had the sun plus 6 planets all lined up within 45 to 90 degree angle as far as the circumference of the orbit. So most of the pull was on the opposite side when those earthquakes happened. I had taken the 3 massive earthquakes in 2012 and backtracked and kind of looked at the Earth, where it was at and where all the other planets were at, and the alignment of that and the direction they were moving. And that's one of the reasons why I was able to predict this earthquake in 2024. It was a similar alignment. And I have a timestamp of me talking to someone online that proves that I was one day in advance of predicting this. So it's no bullshit. So in 1221, end of the Mayan calendar, that's when everyone kind of was freaking out. It was the end of the world, etc., etc. It happens so many times in a lifetime of people. They always think it's going to be the end of the world or Revelations. My grandmother said that in her lifetime that Revelations was supposed to come 3 times and it never did. So we'll see. One of the things I noticed after 2012 is that the seasons changed and the spring bloomed at a different time. That's obvious that things changed dramatically as far as us passing through the galactic plane, and maybe it's the solar output, maybe it was the way that we were sitting on the planet, maybe it was, I don't know quite exactly what happened, but most people who are old enough to remember the spring blooming at a specific time where they're at for a certain number of years, after 2012, I wasn't the only person that had recognized that spring had changed. Within a couple weeks it was blooming at different times. That being said, shortly after that, there's a Russian astrophysicist named Valentina Zarkova. She was one of the first people to, she kind of like raised the red flag and said, hey, this is what's happening. We're dealing with a global issue that we need to handle and deal with this immediately. This was around 2012, 2014, I'd say, when I first found her. One of her first public announcements of this, the KGB sat at the edge of the stage as she was walking up and told her to STFU, basically shut up, don't say too much. So that's kind of was something that was extremely significant at the time the fact that she was about ready to do a presentation on a grand solar minimum, and her Secret Service of the government she worked for told her to keep her mouth shut. Anyways, it's called a grand solar minimum. We have solar minimums. The Maunder minimum was one of them. That was a smaller solar minimum. What happens is the sun every now and then has a hiccup and it stops putting out as much sunlight as it would, and it affects crops, and it affects it affects when the spring blooms, things like that. So when you have things that correlate with solar minimum symptoms, you know what we're dealing with. Anyways, this is supposedly a grand solar minimum of 2,000 plus years, which means it's going to last for close to a lifetime of human beings. That's if this is factual and this is true and this is what's going to happen. It's supposed to start in 2012, estimated to peak in 2032, and it ends in the 2050s. From what I understand, at 2022 is when I think she had said something, or someone had said that the percentage in which we would lose crop production was 10% every year up to 2032 from 2022. If that's correct, we'd be having less than 20, we have 20, maybe 30% of the crop production that we have globally than we do right now in 2032, which would lead to a global famine. So right now, we're in what you would call the fourth turning. I'm sure you've heard of that book. We have cycles of 80 years, and every 20 years it changes to a different turn. The last one, which is the one that we're in, is turmoil, which is why we're at war and we're dealing with, food issues and all kinds of problems that are occurring. The next period is supposed to be a golden age. So hopefully we can get through this without too many people starving to death, if we can get the leaders to stop being idiots. So the moon's orbit never delineates more than 5 degrees from the sun's trajectory in the sky. In 2012, the moon moved 12 degrees from the sun's line over a week. And NASA noted this, but it's no longer online and it's not on the internet anymore. Yeah, there was about a week and a half period where I had noticed that the moon had gone off of its orbit quite a significant amount during that period of time. It was something that had left me in a position of discontent. Well, I'll put it that way. So this right here kind of explains the precession of the equinox. This would be the galactic plane in the center of the galactic plane. This would be the Earth's cycle, I would say. It kind of will wobble up and down from the center of the galaxy. And so one of these cycles where it goes all the way up and then back to its original position from here to here would be 26,000 years. So that's the precession of the equinox right there, which is precisely the same of what this is right here. I'm going to explain this to you a little bit more, what the Iron Cross means. You can see the Iron Cross inside the Mayan calendar since I drew it out. This lets you know a little bit more about the symbolism involved. This will show you right here. This is a Native American corn pouch. You can see the similarity, right? You can see the similarity between these two. Very much so, right? Very much so. So these were corn pouches. What Native Americans would do is they would put their corn seed in this, and they would hold on to it, and this is what they would use to hold their corn seed and drop in the holes as they would plant their corn. So it has a spiritual significance for the Indians, since they were very connected with Mother Nature. And I'm part Native American. I got this from a friend that passed on, and it's one of the few things I have left of his, and reminds me of him. But anyways, you can see the similarity, right? This is the Mayans and this is the Native Americans. It's identical. Now, what this means right here, this cross, which you will see most likely all over the world, this Iron Cross, one of these means golden ages. This is a 26,000 year precession of the equinox right here. That's what this is. Okay, so people call this occult symbolism. It's hidden knowledge, but it's not satanic. So if you don't like what you're hearing, you can just swipe left. Don't bother me if you want to say that this, that, and the other thing. This is just knowledge that most people don't know about. So I myself believe in God, and I don't want anyone to sit here and have a fit about what I'm about to say. So these are called golden ages. These are periods in which civilization has thrived dramatically. Civilizations that we do not know about anymore because we don't see them. They don't exist anymore as far as the remnants of them. And the periods in between were turmoil. Now, I'm not sure which is which. Which ones are golden ages and which ones are periods of turmoil. Okay? But that's what the signification is. That's the significance is what I mean. We are about ready to go into a golden age of this 26,000 year cycle, which is good news. It's not a bad thing. But at each one of these points where you have a transfer from a turmoil to a golden age is turmoil. You know, you have significant upheaval to get into the new the new age, so to speak. So once again, you can really see the similarities between the two. It's almost identical, right? Kind of cool. It's Mexico and this is America, so. Well, actually, no. I'm thinking Aztec. Mayan is down in South America. Yeah, Mayan and the Incan. Yeah, those are South America. Excuse me. My bad. I always get these three ancient civilizations mixed up for I don't know why. So Zarkova estimated that from 2022 to 2032 that the global food crop supply would decrease 10% annually, leaving the world population nearly without food by 2032. This abhorrent war between Russia and the USA and Ukraine is literally destroying one of the largest bread baskets on the planet. Ukraine produces something in the order of 40 to 70% of the wheat and sunflower oil for all of Europe. So right now, most of the leaders of the world recognize this and understand precisely what this war is about. Part of it is just plain stupidity, but part of it is about fighting over one of the places that's going to produce the most food over the next few decades, in which they're bombing it into oblivion, poisoning the earth, and they're going to leave a bunch of probably IEDs and explosives and a bunch of other dumb shit around that's going to make it hard to farm. So in other words, they're fighting over the same thing they're destroying. Really, really stupid. So there's a way to fix that problem. It's not something that I would like to enact. We'll put it that way. But if it doesn't clear up soon enough, then there will be no choice but to go about it in a way to make everybody fucking behave. Okay, so one Earth year's 365 days. There's the precession of the equinox, 26,000 years. Calculated it out, it's 9,490,000 Earth days. So that's one precession. Okay, so I took that one Earth precession in days, and I divided it by 260 to make a Mayan year. So this is 1 year, and this is one precession of the equinox. So this is done in 365 days, right? And this is done in 260. It came out to 365,000 Mayan years. I should have just taken 2 zeros and moved them down here, and I would have had the same answer. I don't know what I was thinking. My math is not as good as it used to be. This is a mix of the Earth years, Mayan years, and the precession in Earth years, Earth days, and Mayan years. So you can kind of see the comparison. It's beautiful how the Mayan calendar and our current Earth calendar blend together very well as far as the equal amount of days. They end very, very well together as far as their compatibility goes. These two years are very much so compatible. Anyways, that was something I wanted to share. It's kind of some old ancient knowledge and something that not a lot of people know about or even want to fathom. First of all, you've got the precession of the equinox here in the Mayan calendar, and then the Iron Cross of the Golden Ages and the ages of turmoil inside of it. Then you've got this is the synopsis. You've got the massive earthquakes that come along with these periods going through the galactic plane and stuff like that. Planetary alignments in our solar system. a lot of volcanoes erupt during this time too. We have large volcano eruptions because along the Ring of Fire and other places like that, you have a tectonic plate movement that opens up the lower levels of Earth. Oh, excuse me. So, you know, kind of like the USGS, United States Geological Survey Agency. One of the reasons why they don't tell you that planetary alignments will cause massive earthquakes is because what happens is you would have an entire country or multiple countries empty the stores, and we have a just-in-time system where food is delivered on a daily basis or every other day to stores, sometimes 2 times a week, sometimes just on the weekends, depending on the store. And what you would end up is what you'd have to run on the stores. The stores would empty very quickly. People would panic, and that would essentially destroy the system that we have sitting currently in effect. So we've got a very fragile system when it comes to feeding people in the global consumerism issue. That being said, I just wanted to share this. I thought it was something that not a lot of people know, and something that I've kind of been holding on to for a long period of time. I don't like telling people this on too often, but I figured I'd let it out there and continue to keep doing this because, you know, there's only so much time before I need to do what I need to do. Anyways, thank you. Have a good day. Bye. Hope you enjoy.